Hey, my friends, welcome back to Digital Confirmation. It's Chris, and I'm glad you're here. This is week 16, and the lesson is Jesus, a man and his mission. So I want you to get a few things before we begin. Grab your candle or tea light or flashlight, something that you can have to remind you of God's Spirit among us as we grow together. And then get a small bowl and put some water in it. I'm here at our baptismal font, and it's going to tie in here in a moment. So I'm going to give you a second, go get those things. Of course, have your lesson assignment with you, and then we'll get going. So pause to grab your things, and now play. Let's continue. All right. Well, welcome back. We're fast forwarding a bit in our Bible here. We are now in the New Testament. This is where we read about Jesus and his life and ministry. And so we've skipped a bunch of the Old Testament. That's not because we don't think it's important. In fact, you should go read about more of those books of poetry like the Psalms and other minor prophets that we talked about, and the ways that God used those voices to speak to God's people. So check that out. It's good stuff. All right. We're going to continue now. We're in the New Testament. We're learning about Jesus. And we're going to meet Jesus and follow him to his baptism. Hint, that's why we have the water. But we're also going to learn about, from another resource today, how Jesus called his first disciples. So, in a second, I want you to pause and search on YouTube. Again, our friend Rob Bell has a great video. It's called Pneuma Dust. And it might look something like that with a sled on it. He's sitting in his office or study looking out the window. And I want you to watch it. It's about 15 minutes. It's a little bit longer, but very interesting about how Jesus called his first disciples. So let's take a pause for you to go look for Pneuma Dust. Watch that video. Come on back here. All right. So, continuing on, way back in 2003, when I was a high school youth, my church went to the ELCA National Youth Gathering in Atlanta, Georgia. And so we're in the Atlanta Dome, the Georgia Dome, and we actually saw Rob Bell speak. He was speaking to us. And he gave a very similar message to that video, the Dust video. And he talked about, just as he did in this video, how Jesus' disciples weren't who we always had thought they were. At least for me, you'd see old paintings of the disciples, and they've got their beards, and sometimes they even have darker grayer hair, and you think they're a bunch of old guys, right? They don't quite get the new wave that is Jesus or something. But like Rob Bell talks about, that's not totally accurate. They didn't get it, but they were probably young guys, kids. They might be like you, 12. 15, maybe 18, maybe 20, but young guys who couldn't cut it with their religious studies. They just didn't get it. They weren't the best of the best, but they were far from old. And I remember thinking in that dome with 30,000 people, Rob Bell pointing out that was us. We were 14, 15, 16, 18-year-old kids. And that Jesus chose those disciples to change the world. And Jesus still chooses us, chooses you to follow and change the world. So I love that message. I think it's interesting how he sits there watching out the window as the kid next door shovels the neighbor's driveway. That's kind of the point. Anyone can change the world, can shovel their neighbor's driveway and serve their neighbor. But the one hang up is always why didn't he get out? I don't have an answer. So, but he makes you think about, right, like, how do we follow in the dust of our rabbi? How do we try to be more like Jesus? How do we learn to be more like Jesus? How are we called to be more like Jesus? I think that's great. So, we're going to jump over to our lesson now. And again, a reminder that we've fast-forwarded through a good chunk of the Old Testament of the Bible. Please read it, check it out. But where we are is that God's people have learned to expect great things from God. And now they're hoping for a Messiah, a Savior. And there was a whole range of expectations with what that could mean. And maybe generally it meant that they were thinking somebody was going to come who was strong or powerful or mighty or a warrior, some sort of a hero, like riding a white horse and a sword, and all these kind of big expectations. We do this, right? We build up the expectations. But God came to be with us, be like us. And the people, they got Jesus. We got Jesus. Jesus was born as a child, not as some mighty warrior or rich prince or a powerful politician. No, he came in the most vulnerable form, a baby. A baby who didn't have a place to be born. So it's very interesting as we consider his birth and we learn about his life and his mission and his ministry going forward. That we also think about, what does that mean in our lives? What is your purpose? What is your mission in ministry going forward? So I want you to do this. As you read the story, it's from Mark. It's on the back of your assignment. You read about Jesus being baptized. I want you to take that bowl of water and make the sign of the cross on your forehead or on the back of your palm if you prefer. And remember your baptism. And in your baptism, you were named and claimed by God. Your family and the church community, this place, Trinity, we make promises to you to raise you in faith, help you grow and understand your purpose in the world, your mission in the world as a follower of Jesus. So we're going to be spending the next few weeks learning about Jesus, just getting the little sprinkles. And then the really cool thing here, friends, is that our confirmation learning takes a bit of a pause while we enter the season of Lent. And that's a more reflective season of the church here, where we follow Jesus in his final days. We follow him to the cross and to the tomb and to the empty tomb beyond. And we consider those stories in our own lives. So as we go from here, as Rob Bell said, may you be covered in the dust of your rabbi. Be safe, be well. God bless. See you next time. Bye.